Cold War was characterized by division, but afterwards you're going to have something very different. So you've got division and you've got nation states interacting with other nation states. In the new geopolitical system, instead there's a balance. Nation states interacting with global markets, and I'm sorry, the arrows should go in both directions. And, again please, nation states interacting with individual people. So what has happened is that with integration there's come a big change in power relationships. And power is no longer held by nation states, exactly the point that one of the previous panelists made up here. So we have integration, globalization, and online communities that are working across boundaries spatially and also across boundaries in terms of time, and a devolution of power away from the nation state. So Secretary Clinton, and to some extent Secretary Rice before her and Secretary Powell before that, recognized that whether we like it or not, technologies are changing everything and we've got to respond or we're going to be left behind. I mean, just take a look at what's happening. Facebook has over 500 million users worldwide, and 70% of those people are not based in the United States. So they spend over 100 billion hours per year on Facebook, and those are definitely conversations we want to be involved in. Next page. 21st century statecraft is not just about the technology, though. It's about foreign policy and it's about diplomatic engagement, and this is why I think Andreas has it just right. 21st century technology doesn't mean that we're not going to need diplomats anymore. In fact, we are going to need them because these are just tools, and we need to realize that as tools, they're not, you know, some sort of a panacea. They're technologies. We've got the web, we've got SMS, we have mobile phones, we have social media, and Secretary Clinton has spoken out about how these technologies, our information networks, contribute both to the promise and to the peril of the 21st century, and to, I think, point us toward what the parameters of diplomacy in 2032 will be about. She said that information networks are like steel. You can use steel to manufacture guns, or you can use steel to build hospitals. And in that, I think that in that statement you see that, you know, diplomats, I think, to some extent are those who are helping to use this in ways that will bring about positive change. Next slide, please. I want to talk about a couple of examples that have come out of the Secretary's recent initiative. Recently we've been supporting something called tech camps around the world. And this is an attempt to galvanize the technology community and to help advance digital capacity of civil society organizations and of individual people around the world. We've done tech camps in Bangkok, in Bucharest. Next slide, please. And in Ramallah, Iraq. Excuse me, in this case, focusing on empowering women using technology. When I was in Baghdad from 2008 to 2009, I was astonished when we held a conference on entrepreneurship that there were we wanted to focus on women in particular to extend entrepreneurship opportunities. 300 women signed up within a few hours to come to this conference, and it was unbelievable to see the dynamism and the seriousness with which these women were pursuing information. And I think that the popularity of the Ramallah Tech Camp shows just how much there is a hunger and a thirst for engagement and for information and for ways to use technology out there. And then there's the example of Haiti. Next slide. Some of you know my colleague Alec Ross, who is Secretary Clinton's senior advisor on the use of innovation and digital diplomacy. And he's used this example a lot, and I can tell you from being in Haiti when the earthquake hit, I was at home on January 12th, 2010, a little bit before 5 in the afternoon, and the earthquake hit. And I later found out that back in the department, as Alec Ross tells the story, there were two young women named Katie and another young woman named Caitlin, some 30-something diplomats, and they were all talking to Alex and to another friend of his about what had happened and how something could be done to help Haiti. And they wanted to focus on the timeliness of responding to the tragedy. Because, as I said, you know, what we see now is that technology kind of erases bounds of time and space. So it isn't like, you know, the diplomatic era when at that time, our envoy to France had to wait for months for instructions to come across the high seas from the capital in the United States. In fact, a lot of times we're not waiting for instructions per se from the Secretary of State, we're just doing things on our own. And so two Katies and a Caitlin, working with Alec Ross, put together an app that was used for a program where people could use communication networks to donate $10 each through text messages.